Hi, I'm David. Thanks very much for joining us on your evening or morning to the Plugin Boutique hosted Scaler EQ live stream. Today, and I may say this morning, we're going to cover Scaler EQ. We're going to have a look at using it in some good examples. I'd like to thank everyone very much for joining. I know there's a few of you watching out there, or maybe watching post-stream. Thanks very much to Plugin Boutique. You got any questions, please at Plugin Boutique on the chat, and I've got Joshua here who's going to be hosting the session and forwarding some questions to me. We're also going to be giving away copies of Scaler EQ, so please be active and nice in the chat, and Joshua will inform me, and we'll give away some copies. Apologies, there's been little sleep from all of us in Scaler Music and at all the teams involved in getting Scaler EQ ready. So I may slur, I may say lots of ums and ahs, and I may get things wrong. So apologies in advance. There's been very little sleep, but we're super excited to present Scaler EQ. Okay, so let's flick over. So today, effectively, what we're going to be doing is rather than open, these are mostly, I think there's 3 examples of tunes that I've been working on. So these are all our tunes. Some of them I've been working on now. A couple are tunes that we've done recently. And rather than open the actual tracks themselves and risk sessions going down and bugs, whatever, I've just bounced out music and then a part that I'm going to use an EQ on. That'll be pretty self-explanatory. That's what we're going to do. To start with, let's have a quick look at Scaler EQ. So that's Scaler EQ right there. It's very simple. There's a parameter box, there's nodes, there's a musical keyboard, there's a note selector, there's a browser, there's the scale selectors, and there's a stereo imaging section. We'll start with a tune that I've been using as part of the 3-minute summary video. So some of you may have seen this already, but those of you who haven't, we'll just quickly talk about what Scaler EQ is. So the whole point of Scaler EQ is that you can detect a tune, and you can remove frequencies that are in key and boost frequencies remove frequencies that are out of key and boost frequencies that are in key. If we think of how I've always used a traditional EQ, it's simply to use a traditional peak, narrow, find a sound that I don't like and remove it. What I tend to do, and what I think a lot of mastering engineers do, is go, oh, that's a ringing tone, get rid of that. But that's jumping to a conclusion, because usually that's a very musical note. I don't want to get rid of that. I want to slightly move it to a note that sounds dissonant or out of key and pull that out, leaving the musical stuff. So generally what we tend to do is in other EQs is keep doing that process over and over again. And I've always thought, well, why can't we do that automatically? So that's the premise of Scaler EQ. So we have these harmonic, peak filters, and plus or minus. We'll get to them later. And what they do is, once you know your key, they are all the notes, the good notes. These are all the bad notes. You automatically, the behavior is you boost in key and you move out of key. So let's start. Let's do something. Let's detect the key and scale this track. Okay, so that's great. That's a great start to the show, isn't it? Let's do that again. Back to the start. Detect key. It's detected as A minor. Okay. As you can see in the video, that works. Not sure why that's happening. I'm just going to go F minor. Okay. So we'll run detection on all my other stuff, and I'm sure it's going to work perfectly. So the key's in F minor. Now, the first chord I'm using is F major. We'll get to that in a second, but it's the song I've written is in F minor. So the whole point is that we boost up. So just to also note that on key detection, whilst it's not perfect, the Scaler EQ, as you will see, is really at 75%. It's absolutely wonderfully fantastic, but it's also safe to know what key and mode you're in. And you can choose them manually here. And also, you know, we have a few composers that have said to us, so you know what, I just like to look at my MIDI region and see what notes I'm using, and you can enter them here. Slide over the UI just a bit. Sorry, thanks, Joshua. Okay, so the whole point is now I can boost in key frequencies. Okay, you know why? It's a bad start, isn't it? Because I put the scalar EQ on the wrong channel, and there I am blaming scalar. So I'm very sorry. It was on the wrong channel. This is on the right channel. Let's start again. Detect key. Thank you. Works perfectly. I'm very sorry. Okay, so good. So now we can boost in key frequencies. Here we go. And we can remove those that aren't in key. That's all pretty straightforward. Yeah. You can use a harmonic peak filter, and that will do both at the same time. Boost the good stuff, and you can see it up on the keyboard. Here we go. Yeah, we'll get to how it can be used as an effect in a second. We've also got these, I love these things. Now we're talking about mastering here, but these magic shelves, they're very different to normal shelves. They treat the mid and the side differently. Now, we made these because it's a very arduous process for me in mastering to do this manually. And I said to the developers, you know, can we create something special that kind of does this? And they did. And I just love them so much. So here we go, here's some bottom end boost. Yeah. Now, just to show you in comparison, I'm going to do that. I'm going to switch this over to a normal shelf. Yeah, you can hear it's really smooth. Also, if I switch this over to a normal shelf, yeah, it's too much. Okay, so the other thing we've got is we've got dynamic compression and expansion. So let's say I want to really push those highs a little bit. What I can do is I can hit the dynamics on any node, which is absolutely fantastic. And now I can say push those highs, and I can actually get a rhythmic effect the way the compression works. Here we go. Or expansion. Well, here we go. I can bring that release right down quickly. Yeah, and you can see it. Off. Yeah, so we're at the moment, we're kind of talking about using it. I haven't really done much of the harmonic stuff, which we'll get to in a second. Another thing that I love, so I love all that stuff because I can just put it on any tune and I can just, you know, it's a bit of a magic box for those of us that have been working with. But one thing I love is the stereo width and the mono frequencies. These are things that have been deeply thought out by the team at Koala and the team at Scaler Music. And big credits to everyone at Koala that's worked on it. It's been absolutely fantastic. Chris, Vasco, Joachim, I mean, they're amazing human beings, and they're just really deep in their thoughts. So we've really cared about trying to make something special. And these stereo widths really enhance, they work as very similar to something like my Neve mixing desk that I've got right here would work. Here we go, let's boost up. I'll just narrow this top a bit. We'll just boost the stereo widths. And then you can also narrow the width too. And of course, one of the things I always want to do in EQ is mono everything under a certain frequency. And why can't we have that in EQ? And that's what this is. Okay, cool. Good. Just going to check if there's any questions. Slide UI over a bit. No, that's good. I think we're doing good. Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to close that down. I'm going to get rid of that. Oh, actually, I want to bring up one little point. Just to make this clear. This tune I've written in F minor. You may want to call it something else. That's fine. The first chord is an F major. So, you know, if I was doing lots of this stuff, you know, am I wrong because it's detected as F minor and the first chord is F major? No. And what we've done is we've done the flexibility here to say, okay, well, the difference is really one note. It's the G sharp or the A. So if you really wanted to be fussy or semantic about that, you could say, no problem. Let's include the A, which is now including the note of the F major key. And, so it's got that real flexibility. Or you could say, you could automate this. You could say first chord, let's keep it an F major chord, keep the whole thing in F minor. And then when I swap chords, automate this. Yeah, so it's really, really flexible like that. Okay, good. So let's go into this tune. Are the keys automatable for key changes in songs? How do you guys handle phase distortion with those kind of notches? Are they linear phase? Can the scale be selected in modals such as Dorian, Lydian? And will there be discounts for existing Scaler 2 owners? I don't control the pricing, Plugin Boutique does, so you would need to speak to them. But I think we've tried to keep everything cheap, I believe, is my understanding. Are the keys automatable for key changes in songs? That's a very good question. So we've been able to automate them. The best solution is something that's going to be coming in an update. There's just so many things we wanted to get to. And what we're going to do is we'll probably have like link buttons that you can assign scales to, so you can easily automate it. You can automate in your DAW. You can actually automate these notes. To be honest, what I do is I just have two scalers, EQs with a different scales. If I got a key change, I just copy it and then I just just automate the switch of the tracks, or just have two tracks. That'll be coming. How do you guys handle phase distortion with these kind of notches? Are they linear phase? They're not linear phase. They can't be. The whole plugin would fall over. We'll look at a type of linear phase integration. Phase distortion, don't really have any phase distortion. I think it's common sense, common EQ implementation, not to do too much down your bottom end. That is different between your left and your right. So that seems to work fine. Can the scale be selected? Yes, of course. You can just choose, come and click your scale and choose here, any mode. Okay, so here I have a guitar. This is a piece that I'm working on at the moment. So we literally recorded this guitar. This is Tristan playing on a Fender yesterday. Okay, cool. And then there's some music to accompany it. Okay, cool. So let's clean up the guitars, right? So I want the guitars to kind of come out a little bit there. Okay, cool. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try a Scaler EQ on the guitar track. And let's see how detection goes. Okay, Scaler, off you go. Okay, good. So it's given me a D sharp major, which is great. That's exactly what I'm in. C minor. Yeah, D sharp major, C minor, same thing. One's a relative major one's a relative minor of the major. That's fine. So what I want to do now is I want to clean up this guitar because it's recorded. It's got a bit of amp distortion in it. So here's where Scaler EQ can come in really handy. I can find the stuff that I don't like, okay? So here's a notch. Now, by default, we're boosting up frequencies in key, and we're removing frequencies out of key. I want to change that behavior now. I want to turn in scale off and flip harmonics off. And that basically means now we're listening to the keys out of scale. You can see these are the keys that don't belong to C minor. And when I remove it, it doesn't flip it, it just gets rid of it. Now, the thing to note, and what I love about Scaler, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to pause that. Yeah. What I love is you can see on the spectrum analyzer, this might not be the best example. We'll use one a little later on. But you can actually see that these are dancing around the notes of the guitar. Here we go. Yeah, so when I cut out, can you see it's actually not cutting out the notes of the guitar? That's the whole point with Scaler EQ. So it enables me to find this yucky stuff. Here we go. Yeah. And just to point out, what we're normally doing with EQ is we're just, finding a frequency that's ringy, but the loudest frequencies are the ones that are in scale, but we don't want to take them out. Yeah, so that's the stuff I want to take out. perfect. So I just go bang, get rid of it. Okay. And then I can do the same thing around the low mid. I can, get a kind of a harmonic peak filter here, and I can turn in scale and flip harmonics off. Yep. Find that low, because the problem is at the moment this tune here is the guitar is interfering with the bottom end of the rest of the track. You can hear that. Yep. So what I want to do is in the guitar is I want to find that bottom end and get rid of it without getting rid of all of it. That's the whole difference with normal EQ. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of top shelf. I think it always works nicely. Yeah, that's good. And then you've got these spare filters. You can come in and notch out that top a little bit. Great, that's fine. And if I wanted to, I could give it some width. All right, let's hear what that's like on and off. I won't say on and off. You'll just see clearly it'll be bypassed, right? Yeah, and if I wanted to make more of that, I could just pull these notches down. Here we go, pull the notches down. Cool, let's hear it with the music and let's see the difference that makes. You'll see me muting the guitar track, okay? Here we go. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not sure what you guys are hearing out there, but for me, I just get that open guitar harmonic. The bottom end is nice. It's fitting with the music. I can hear all the rest of the music much clearer. And sometimes that's the way I like to, when I'm EQing, I like to listen to the stuff that I'm working on outside the guitar. So in other words, I want to listen to the music. What effect does it have? And you can hear it clearly. If I start with it off, this is on the guitar, and then turn it on, you'll hear the music comes out as well as the guitar. Yeah, great. I want to just show a really good example of why scalar EQ is very different. Okay, so here I've set up just a standard EQ. This could be any EQ in the world, okay? It doesn't really matter. And see, let's just get it back there. That's a standard EQ, and that's mimicking what scalar EQ is doing effectively, that low cut. And I've tried to keep it as close as possible. And now we can hear the differences of a standard EQ versus scalar EQ. So here you should be able to see me muting. I'll mute here, okay? Scalar EQ is at the top, traditional EQ at the bottom. So let's start with scalar EQ. Or let's start with the traditional EQ. Let's see if I can pop it up. There you go. And now I'll switch to scalar EQ. Here we go. Yeah, it's chalk and cheese. And remember, it's doing something, because if I turn scalar EQ off, yeah, scalar EQ, traditional EQ. I mean, traditional EQ is fantastic, but it's just taking everything out. Now, if I do that in the mix, yeah, and let's hear the traditional EQ first, and then let's switch to the scalar EQ. Yeah, just so much. I mean, it's just so musical. Great. Okay. I think that's it for that example. Yeah. Obviously, I could have also, come back in the scale. I could have also just monoed, couldn't I? Really. Great. Okay. Cool. Now I've looked. I'm gonna mono all this stuff here. I've done this in the. There's a lot of questions coming through when I get to it, and that's good time, Joshua, whilst I'm in between little things here. I've done this little drum track explanation in my complete overview video, but I'm going to do something different here. I just think it's a really good way to show off scalar EQ. Is side chaining an option in scalar EQ? Not yet. Not yet. How many bands does Scaler EQ have? Is there a limit? Yeah, there are. It's limited to 6 bands. That's important because I think the thing to realize about Scaler EQ is one band is not one band. One band is potentially 20 bands in one band. So we're actually really doing so much. It's effectively like using another EQ and having 40 notches. So we have to limit that. Otherwise, all kinds of issues would come up. Are there genre-specific presets? Yes, good question. Thank you. There are. So that's something artist and genre presets. We actually had them, but we kind of integrated them more. So you can see them, in mastering. There's EDM musical punch. That's a good one. Deeper house dynamics. Thanks. I didn't actually cover that. Sharp musical master. In the bass, you have trance rolling bass. So there are. We don't have them categorized as genre, but we'll get to that. Can you solo what's in the current active peak? Another very good question. Thank you for asking all these questions. Otherwise, I wouldn't cover it. Yeah, you can. So there's an active solo. Here we go. Yep. There you go. So I'm soloing the nodes. Now, I think, so there is the active solo, yes. To be transparent about that, technically the way it has to happen is you can't really show a sum. So you're not really showing the difference between your cutting and your boosting, your harmonic. You're just soloing that band. That's the way it works in all EQs. Bit of a shame, but we'll look at some potential other solutions. Okay, here we go. I'll get some questions after the can you solo it? Yep. Okay, good. I'll get some other questions in a second. All right. So drums. Okay, here we go. Let's hope you're not too loud. So we've got a drum. Yeah, Ben Crook, Australian drummer, absolutely fantastic, amazing drummer. That whole session was yeah, lots of variation and some music I wrote for that. With the drums. Okay, so Scaler EQ on drums. I've said it in my other videos, but it's really it's really amazing what it can do. But let's just talk about it traditionally for a second, before we look into the more full-on stuff. So obviously we've got drum presets. I think I talked about it. There's the drum vitalizer. Just pull up the preset. Yeah, good. I'm just going to reset that. I'm going to try and do things. I'm trying to demonstrate things. I'm going to try and do things on my own here with my own presets. I need to know the key. It's A minor. I could go to the music. I'm obviously not going to find it in the drums, but if I was to go to the music and say, hey, can you help me? Here's the music loop, and I pull up the Scaler EQ there. Make sure she's over on this side so you can see it. Okay, so we're on the music loop. You can always see what I'm on up here. Detect the key. This should work. There we go. Yeah. These are all examples that I've thrown in recently, particularly the other stuff that we're working on. And Scaler EQ has worked 100% of the time in terms of its detection. It's so much better than the detection we currently have in Scaler 2, which we're very excited about the future potential. Okay, so here we are on the drum loop. So, sorry, that's not the drum loop. This is the drum loop here. What I love about Scaler EQ is once I'm in key and scale, it's with drums, it's phenomenal because you can do this. You can just say, okay, cool. They're all the keys of A minor. Yep. And now I can actually bring out the musicality of drums. And I think most of us have worked out it kind of sounds a bit like a resonator. Yeah, but just in mixing, before we start getting all, it's an amazing effect. Let's talk about the mixing. So I can make something more musical. Yep. Or I can actually take it out and really dry those drums. It's also a really good way to get rid of reverb because, whilst you can't get rid of all the reverb like some other plugins might do, you're actually getting rid of all the inharmonic parts of that reverb. So it's really phenomenal. Okay, add some tops. Those magic shells. Whilst I'm obviously heavily biased, I will say that every artist that has been using this has absolutely loved these magic shelves and all those stereo widths, apart from the functionality. We love them. They just seem to work on every tune. Bit of bottom. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so now that I've taken it out of there, I can come into the music, and I can open the EQ there, and I'll unmute that. Sorry, here we go. And now I can bring up some of that musicality. Bring out some of that top. Yeah. I can also, rather than boost, the magic shells are fantastic because you can actually cut the bottom end, and it's leaving the stuff in the mid. So it's leaving your mono kind of low end whilst reducing the sides, and it focuses that bass. It's very rare that I'll cut bass out, but this is an actual tune I did a couple of years ago, and the bottom end's too strong. So just doing that really smooths it up. Here we go. Now you can see I've got both highlighted here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute the scalers. You can hear the difference they're making, right? So you'll see me mute them. That'll be muted. And this is back on. Here we go. Yeah, so big difference. I just want to show a couple of things. I think everyone, loves to have fun with a new toy. We're back on the drum loop, okay? Back on the drum loop. Let's talk about using it as a resonator, shall we? So let's do this. Let's kind of get rid of that. Yes, it can be used as a resonator. You've seen me do that in some of my other videos. I just want to talk about the scales here. When we reset, we're resetting back to your current scale. I think one of the important things to understand technically about the EQ is keep current scale is on. Okay, the manual is really good at explaining things, by the way. There's also a couple of videos. Keep current scale on says I ain't going to touch anything. Whatever you do here, yep, that's where I'm going to leave it. So I've taken out those two notes. So sure, I can come back to probably the safest ways to go. Oh, let's go back to A minor. Those notes are reintroduced. Keep current scale off does a few things. Firstly, it will always reset back to A minor. So with it, it's not going to keep the current scale. It's going to reset, and that's a nice safe way. It also means that there are presets where we've stored information in, such as the note selectors, so the note resonators. And that means you can load them and it'll correctly, every different node, you can see global's off. It's basically allowed me to put a different scale to each node and different note selections. And that means that we've got this, these cool resonators. Yeah, and you can automate, obviously. So you've got this whole resonator effect. I'm doing it on drums, but yeah, you can use it anywhere. Right, I want to get on to a couple of other examples. No further questions, I think. Joshua, do you want to fit any through? And I believe I'm still streaming. I think hopefully I'm not just talking to myself. Okay, another great example of Scaler EQ, which I was working on yesterday and just made me think I really do like Scaler EQ. So I'm working on a compositional track. So the music altogether sounds like this. Okay, just a quick question that Joshua shot through, and it's a good one, so I just want to quickly cover it. Where was I? Can the individual cues be thickened from thin to broad? So yes, they can. We've got something called range, which works like cues, so you can thicken them there. Just bear in mind, we haven't let you thicken them all the way because the whole point is being in key. You can, of course, just go, yep, sure, I'll go to a traditional peak, in which case you've got the full breadth just like any other EQ. So that's that question. Thanks for asking that. That's a good one. Okay, so my problem here is these legato violas, they've got this, I love them very much in my track, but they've got this real, when they go up, when they slur up, legato up, they've got this real harsh top end, and they were really dominating my tune. So this is yesterday. There you go, those bits. Yeah. So that's that. Here it sits with the music. Okay, so you can hear that real sharpness. Now, one thing to note, there's probably not much information here. Is there enough information for Scaler EQ to pick up the audio detection of this? Let's have a listen to the violas. Probably not, because there's a few notes, only a few notes being played. Let's have a listen. Yeah, there's 4 notes, so it's really trying hard. That's not the right key, and I expect that to happen because it just doesn't have enough info. And that was the situation yesterday. I went, okay, cool. Well, why don't I just go to the music, which does have enough info, and the music part of it. And what I'll do there is I'll detect from it, right? That should work. Here we go. Okay, perfect. That worked. So more musical info, the better. Detection's not perfect. We generally recommend people go 10 seconds, but I'm really happy with how it works when I'm working, because it seems to just get things right. And there's always a solution. C sharp major. Thank you very much for telling me that. So you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to my legato violas here, and I'm in global mode, which is cool. And I'm going to go C sharp major. So now I'm in the right key and scale. Let's listen to this. That sound up there is really hurting me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the stuff I don't like. Yeah, remember, I don't have to, I can just pull straight out, right? But you know, it's nice to just actually find them. So in scale off, flip harmonics, here we go. Yeah, I'll give that just a little bit of width so we can hear that. Here we go. Yeah, and let's try here. So yeah, so that's the stuff that's quite loud. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull it out, and then that should really smoothen it quite a bit. Here we go. And what's really cool, again, you can see it. It's not touching any of the notes. Now, if we hear that, what I might do is also give it a little bit of width, okay? Because that'll really help. And I'm going to solo it so you can hear now first in the legato violas in situ in with the music. Here we go. With it off first. Yeah, that is really sharp. With it on. Yeah. Much smoother. There you go. Yeah. I love that in this bit you can hear the cellos now underneath. Yeah, so obviously there's kind of a lot more we can do. We can come straight to the music. So now that we've got there, let's chuck it on the music as well. While it already detected, I'm on the music scale here. Let's see what we can do. Let's do our usual stuff. Let's bring up the tops, bring up the bottoms, and now let's bring the music. So sorry, I'm working on this part. Okay, so let's do our test. Let's test it with the scalar EQs on and off. Here we go. On. Oopsie. Let's start that again. Let's go off. Nice chalk and cheese. Yeah, so I think I'll run through another example, and please shoot over your other questions. Be nice in the chat and get a copy of Scalar EQ. But I think that was a really good example of showing just how warm and musical EQing in key can be. Now, I just want to note that these are patent pending features. We have a patent in play for this stuff because we worked so hard on getting the technology right that really wanted to protect it. So these are not things that are easily copyable, firstly from a technical point of view, but also implementing them has been really difficult. But it just works. And don't forget, you've always got the traditional stuff. Yeah, and that's really important to note is, sorry, I'm off there, here we go. It's really important to note is that you've just got traditional peak, you've got traditional high shelves. Yeah, you can we by default always encourage you to use the Scalar EQ proprietary ones. Low shelves, you've got low cuts. You can just use it as a regular EQ and still use all the dynamic features and also the stereo width and the mono features too. But yeah, that's why we dearly love Scalar EQ, because just working like that with the violas and the rest of the music, it just really helped significantly. Okay, I want to show you one more example as we get to the end of our stream. Just going to check Joshua's, what's the latency? I don't have any issue with latency. I mean, I think we've tested with Plugin Doctor and everything seems really good, so I don't have an issue. Can I answer that technically? No, I can't. Is there an auto gain compensation and oversampling? No oversampling, auto gain compensation. So that's where we're getting. I think that's probably, there's a few things to be frank with you. So, we've got these boxes. I like the design. It works. I wanted it to feel kind of like Scalar 2. So we've got these kind of boxes that hide. And what's going to frustrate users, there's no doubt, is that whilst we can collapse them, which is great, but if you're kind of coming in and doing this type of notching, it sits behind the boxes. You have to click in the background. There are other ways around it. One of the ones I do is I click on the nodes actually up here, so I know where I am, and then you can actually move the gain here. So I think that's one of the things that we definitely want to look at, completely floating or movable boxes. We'll get to that quite soon. Auto gain, input, output, limiter, right-clicking nodes, multiple selecting nodes. There's a way to go, and I think you'll find 2.1 will be a fantastic update. Also mention Scalar 2 and Scalar EQ are rent-to-own on Plugin Boutique. So you can download them, obviously, for free and use the trial versions. It'll give you that burst of annoying white noise every 20 or 30 seconds, which isn't ideal, but that's what it is. But you can also rent-to-own, which is a great new model, and it's also available on Beatport Access. So if you're a subscriber on Beatport Access, you can get that too. Okay, let's get to the end of the show. I hope I've been covering everything well. Thank you very much for staying with me. Here's another tune that we wrote as part of a video game.
I'm not the usual type, you got some work to do, but I promise it'll be worth it, I swear. I'm a lover, not a fighter, baby girl. I can show you I care. If you get me, then you get me.
So we have the music, and then we have the vocal.
Cause I know you're gonna love all the jealousy that we're gonna see.
Brian Mensa from the UK, fantastic artist. Thank you very much, Brian. That was a lovely vocal. Really liked it. Okay, so let's look at what Scalar EQ can do for mastering that whole track and also for the vocal. So this is it's in B major. Yeah, we're running out of time. So let's call up Scalar EQ and the vocal. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to detect a vocal. I wonder whether I could. I wouldn't imagine I would be able to. Should we try just for the fun of it?
If you gonna be mine, baby. Yeah, look, I gotta let you know the way that I move. I'm not the usual type, you got some work to do, but I promise it'll be worth it.
Wow. Yeah, B major. We got it. Thank you, Scaler. Very nice. Okay, so that did work, the detection on the vocals. It's really impressive, and big kudos to Koala for making that happen. Okay, so yeah, vocals. How do we work with vocals? Well, pretty straightforward. I want to clean this up a little bit. I can put a little top shelf, usual stuff. What I want to do now is I want to make a little bit more space, particularly in the bit that is rapping. So I'll let it run. I'm going to use a harmonic plus minus peak. And what that does is that boosts and removes. So here we go.
Look, I gotta let you know the way that I move. I'm not the usual type, you got some work to do, but I promise it'll be worth it, I swear. I'm a lover, not a fighter, baby girl. I can show you I care. If you get me, then you get me. I'ma give you the
So
best
that's
of
good.
me. Take a little dose.
You know, I could get rid of some other stuff if I wanted to. Here we go.
If you gonna be, then you get me. I'ma give you the best of me. Take a little dose. I could be your ecstasy. Take you shopping every place that I know your ex will be. Cause I know you're gonna
I'm gonna
love
give it
all
some
the
stereo
jealousy
width.
that we're gonna see on his face when we pull up in the
Yes,
place in the
great.
rave like it's supposed to be. Let me know how you feel.
Let's put a low cut, straight low cut on that. Low cut here. Yep, on the vocal as we would. Now, we didn't have to use a low cut. We could have just actually used this type of shape down the bottom. But, you know, we don't always have to use these proprietary harmonic things from Scaler. And yeah, to demonstrate that, I could just go, you know, standard peak, just to boost a little bit of the presence in the bottom end. And I could turn dynamics on for that. So we're dealing with this. Yep. Okay, there we go. Just bring the threshold.
If you gonna be mine, take a little dose. I could be your ecstasy. Take you shopping every place that I know your ex will be. Cause I know you're gonna love all the jealousy.
Okay, let's hear how that sounds over the music, shall we?
Girl, I can show you I care. If you get me, then you get me. I'ma give you the best of me. Take a little dose. I could be your ecstasy. Take you shopping every place that I know your ex will be. Cause I know you're gonna love all the jealousy that we're gonna see on his face when we pull up in the place in the rave like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just really has brought out those vocals. Yeah, it's just made EQing. You know, EQing has always been something that you just have to do all the time, and it's quite laborious because you know, here at Samplify, for example, you know, without boasting, we're on 3 or 4 projects on a day, switching between, and it's so important to be able to use EQ. And Scaler has just changed our lives in that we can just really speed up that process, do it easily, and do it in a really kind of rewarding way. Let's put Scaler EQ on the music. There we go. So now we're playing with this music over here. We're getting to the end of the stream, so I'll just keep watching Joshua. Can you use Scaler 2 to send chords to Scaler EQ detect key button? Can it take MIDI in to dynamically set the key and scale? Can it take MIDI in to dynamically set the key and scale? No, but that's something that we've thought about. So watch this space. Can you use Scaler 2 to send chords to Scaler EQ? Detect key button. Yeah, you can. One thing to note about the audio detection is sometimes if you play 1 or 2 chords, the detection's a bit not quite accurate. And because at some stage we had to say, okay, I'll just flick to my webcam so you can see me. Yeah, at some stage we had to say, are we detecting 1 or 2 chords, or are we detecting key and scale? That's kind of the departure route to how the technology manifested, and we decided that key and scale was so important. So sometimes I've gone to Scaler and I've gone, oh, C minor, A major, or C major, A minor, and I play it 2 or 3 chords, and Scaler kind of says, well, you're going to be in one of these scales, and Scaler EQ kind of says something different because it's saying, well, okay, you've got 2 chords, but they could be so many different scales. We've tried to keep it really simple to make it work in the vast majority of the time. I'd be surprised if you don't find it works in at least 75 to 90% of the times. But like with all audio detection, I just say just make sure you're right if you're going to be doing some heavy EQing harmonically. Okay, so here's the music, Be Mine music. Here we go. I'll put you back on desktop and audio. Joshua hasn't told me off for doing anything wrong this time. So that's good. Okay, so there's some winners of Scaler EQ. I will get to that straight after this demonstration. This will only be a second. So here we are with the music.
Yeah, look, I gotta let you know the way that I move.
Yeah. Now, sorry, didn't want to talk over. I spoke. Those 808 basses are very, very strong. So I've just done this for a video game. It's already out. Talk Drift 2, amazing game. But you know, I wish I had kind of had Scaler EQ beforehand, because the bottoms are strong, and trying a low shelf, a traditional low shelf, wouldn't work. But this magic shelf, which is actually keeping the mid and keeping the majority of that bass tone in there, but just getting rid of that side stuff, is a really good way to focus it. That really worked nicely. A bit of top, here we go. Yeah, usual stuff. Bring up some of the highs. Now, one thing I noticed, just because I only loaded this track in to demonstrate my last night, like 8 hours ago. One thing I noticed is when I brought up the stereo width, the claps came loud. Let's have a listen. Yeah, it's super rare that I'll bring up that stereo width the way we've got it working, and here it's not anything other than fantastic. But in that instance, I don't like it because the claps are too loud. So I thought to myself last night, how about if I narrow that? Will it focus those claps? Here we go. Yeah, and it really does. Here we go. Off. Yeah. So, and of course, you know, I would just always encourage people to use things dynamic. So the dynamics on the low magic shelf is just perfect because it's not as extreme and it's scooping around. It's actually responding in real time, and playing with the release can make it very rhythmical. Okay, so let's have a listen. Finally, here's both the tracks, and I'll mute both the scalers.
Look, I gotta let you know the way that I move. I'm not the usual type, you got some work to do, but I promise it'll be worth it, I swear. I'm a lover, not a fighter, baby girl, I can show you I care. If you get me, then you get me, I'ma give you the best of me. Take a little dose, I could be your ecstasy. Take you shopping every place that I know you're at.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice demonstration of how effective it can be. I just took some notes for myself to make sure I had some things covered as I was falling asleep last night. Where are they? Plugin Boutique live stream. I just want to make sure I covered global mode, note selection. Oh, mid-side. Okay, that's a good one. Yep. Last but not least, certainly not least. Okay, so it's good. I'm happy I wrote those notes. Let's go to the musical master, which is this guy here. Yeah. Yeah, that's the music. You've also got mid-side. Didn't cover that. So here we go. I'm doing a big boost, right? Just to make it pretty obvious. That's not boosting. Now you can put that in the stereo, in the spread, in the mids, in the sides, and that becomes really useful because I can really, to enhance that, I can widen this range. Yeah, I can widen that window width. Don't forget you can mix shelves and patterns. So you know you can kind of create this really cool effect, which you've got this magic shelf, which is totally unique, and then you've got these nodes chipped in harmonic notes to further smoothen it. But yeah, so you can put that in the sides. You can put, you know, you can do any type of shelf, harmonic peak, you know, and you can say, okay, any type of filter, I should say, mid, side, stereo. So yeah, it's really cool, really wonderful, really flexible in terms of what you can do. So we have 4 winners of Scaler EQ, and if they email support@pluginboutique.com with your name, what you've won and a screenshot of you logged into your YouTube account. Simple Luke, Paello, Charlie Hatton, and C. Ray Beats. So the winners are Simple Luke, Paello, Charlie Hatton, and C. Ray Beats. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time if you've been hanging around and watching and listening to me. I hope that all made sense. I hope they were good examples. We love Scaler EQ. We really hope you do too. I just think it's a wonderful magic box. I'll use it forever. I just love it. I'm so wonderfully grateful to everyone at Plugin Boutique, everyone at Koala, as I mentioned, Chris, Vasco, Joachim, Cecil, all the team. They've been fantastic. Everyone that's worked on it, from the Samplify end, James Hewson, Tristan Mallock, Jean-Paul Adolphe, there's been Josh Abrahams, there's been so many of us working on it. Thanks for watching. We hope you get to use Scaler EQ. We'll keep making lots of videos. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks for watching. I'm David, and see you later.